brokers don't have a recruiting problem. They have a trust problem. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the first 2 stages of the exact 5-stage pipeline that took my brokerage from 2 of us in the basement of our house to $3 billion in sales with 500 agents. This is part 1 of 2. Let's get into it. Most brokers don't have a recruiting problem. They have a trust problem. They're trying to close it with a phone call. And in the next 18 minutes, I'm going to walk you through the exact 5-stage pipeline that took my brokerage from 2 of us in the basement to $3 billion in annual sales with 500 agents. And I'm going to give you the methodology my managing directors use to close top agents on the second appointment. Look, if you watched episode 3, you remember I teased this pipeline thing called reach. And what I told you was that I'd send it to anybody who booked a call. And I will, I'm not lying about that, but I changed my mind about one thing. You don't need this framework to be hidden. You need it on the field, and I think you need it right this second, because recruiting is broken at almost every single brokerage that I jumped on call with. That's the number one thing. And I don't want you to have to wait for a coaching call to fix it. So what we're gonna do today is I'm gonna literally walk you through the entire pipeline. So it's all 5 stages. It's the 4-week engagement sequence, key, and then the 2 appointments structure. This is what we call the SW9 methodology, and then the 1 to 10 close. The workbook with the scripts, the templates, the SW9, and the offer, that's still a booking carrot. Like, don't worry about it. I'm still gonna give it to you. If you book a call, I'm gonna send that to you, no problem, right? But the methodology is what you're gonna get today. Sound cool? All right, so stay with me on this, okay? I wanna start with the truth that most broker owners probably don't wanna hear. You don't have a recruiting problem. What you really have is a trust problem. You've been trying to close the trust gap on the phone. I mean, just think about that for 1 second, all right? Most agents, most brokers, they recruit like this. They get a name, they pick up the phone, they leave a voicemail, and they're like, hey, it's Steve from ABC Brokerage, and I'd love to go out and grab a cup of coffee, talk a little bit about your business. Well, nobody's calling back. You experience this, I know you do. I'll tell you why, because that voicemail is what we would call a withdrawal, but it's from an account that has no money in it, no deposits. So I've got a quick question for you. If you've ever left a voicemail, or one similar like to that one, drop guilty in the comments. We'll see who's like the bravest of them all. But I'll start because I've done it. I've done it hundreds of times, if not thousands of times, before I figured out the exact system to change it all. Are you ready? Because bottom line, top agents, they're not fish. Top agents aren't responding to cold calls. They just have too much to lose. Look, they already have a book of business. They already have a reputation, and they're not gonna risk that for a cup of coffee with somebody they don't know. So let's talk about what top agents actually want and what would get them to actually consider a move. They're watching you. They are reading, they're paying attention, they're Googling, they're checking your reviews. They're watching your YouTube. They're seeing who else is at your brokerage and how they're doing. They wanna know about you as a person, as a leader, as a business person. By the time they're ready to even entertain a conversation with you, I'm gonna tell you this right now, they've already made a decision in their hearts as to whether or not you're worth speaking to. The phone call is not the thing that makes the decision. The phone call confirms what they've already decided. And that all comes before the phone call. So if your recruiting isn't working like so many of the people that I spoke with, here's the real diagnosis. You're trying to close trust on the phone with somebody who has never met you, either in person or figuratively. And nobody does that. Like literally, nobody. What we're gonna walk through right now is a system that builds the trust, but builds it before the call. So that when the call actually happens, it's not the close. It's just a confirmation. Like, yep, this is the person that I've been watching. This is the person I know. And yep, this is the one I want to be with. That system has 5 stages, which is the reach, right? Stage 1 is research. So look, most brokers, they walk into a recruiting conversation knowing about nothing of the agent, right? Maybe they know their name, maybe they know their brokerage, maybe they have some vague sense of their production, but that's it. And that is not research, right? That is like literally looking at a social profile, maybe. Real research means that by the time that you reach out to that agent, you know more about their business and what's going on than they know about their business. Very, very different. You know their production history, You probably know their 3-year trends. You know their average sales price, their commission structure. You know more about the last 5 closings they had than they do. You know who they work with, what they post about, and you probably know everything you need to know about their brokerage. You know the one thing in their business right now that they're most frustrated about. Or maybe you have an idea, right? You have a hypothesis of what's going on in their business because this is your job. Now look, most broker owners are like, whoa, bro, like that sounds like a lot of work. For one agent, you do all of that? The answer is yes, it's a lot of work. Real estate professionals, you and I both know 87% of the licensees don't make it in this business. Don't worry, I don't have anything to sell you here, but what I do want to do is I want to impact your life. I want to change your life. In order for you to be the top of the top, you're going to need to do some things different, and one of those things is to become part of the Sales Warrior community. Subscribe below, it's free. But you're not researching every agent, you're researching your hit list, the 20, 30, 40 people who would absolutely change your office if you had them. And I'm going to give you a hard truth. If you can't spend a few hours going deep on just a few of those agents that would literally change your business, can I ask you, is growing your business really as important as you say it is? Look, research is the biggest deposit that you can make, because if you don't know the information, is that you don't know their business, you don't care about their business. And the moment that they realize that you cared enough to actually do some recon, the conversation changes. You've done the work. The relationship now changes. You're not a stranger making a cold call anymore. You're a peer, you're a friend who's serious enough to do their homework. That means something to an agent, which takes you to stage 2, which is the engagement. Engage. This is where the deposits start. Remember, you can't take a withdrawal from an account that doesn't have any money in it. Most brokers skip this. They go straight from like, I did my research, and then they go straight to a phone call. And those phone calls do not go well, right? You think that they're gonna go much better, and they're weird, they're awkward, because the account has no money in it. There's no deposits. So engage is the 4-week trust sequence that we run through. Every week, a different deposit. It's a text, it's social, it's email, it's content. By the time you hit 4 weeks and the phone rings, you've shown up 6 different ways. They know your name, they know your face, and they start wondering, why is this guy showing up everywhere? Man, I see him everywhere. I kind of know this guy. So let me walk you through it. Week 1 is the text. The first text has 0 ask, none. It is 100% deposit. It's like, hey, Sally, it's Todd. I saw your listing at 123 Banana Street. That's a great property. Looks like you nailed the marketing. Congratulations. The whole thing. That's it. No invitation. No, we should get together for coffee. Like, no expectation, no quid pro quo, just a real, specific congratulations deposit. And here's why it works. Every broker in your market reached out to that agent this last month asking for their time, asking for a coffee appointment. You reached out to give them recognition. That's a different relationship. That's not a recruiter. You also subscribe them to your email, right? That's your value system weekly email. That's the one that has Tuesdays, which are teaching, Fridays, which are authority emails, stories, that kind of thing. Now you're also in their inbox twice a week. Content only, no pitch. Week 2, you showed up in their social feed. So now you follow them, you're following them on LinkedIn, you connected, you're following them on Instagram, Facebook, and you comment on something they actually posted, something that's like a real post, a real, specific, insightful, relevant comment. That's it. Then you DM them. Same rule though, specific, no ask. Something like, hey, I saw your post about the market shift. Your take on inventory was the smartest thing I heard this week. You nailed it, loved it, whatever, right? And only then you make the invitation. But it's not the invitation that you think. By the way, I'm hosting a market update class next Thursday. Small group, no pitch, just sharing some things that we're seeing around the 9, 12, 15 markets that we serve. Would love to have you there. Do you want me to send you the detail? That's it. See, it's not a let's go have coffee. It's come, hang out, get in the inner circle, learn something that you wouldn't have access to. If they come, the recruiting conversation, now it starts to accelerate. And frankly, it accelerates by about a month. If they don't, it's still a deposit. So week 3, now we're gonna go and we're gonna send them a very specific piece of content. Not a brochure, right? Not a slide deck or anything like that. It's actually a training video, kind of like this one. Something that demonstrates exactly how you teach, how you think, how you actually develop people within your organization. The text that goes with it, though, matters, okay? So here's an example. Hey, John, sharing some training we've been running inside the organization. I just thought, maybe you might find it valuable. I would love your input, by the way, if you've got any. You just let them experience what's going on in your culture, and you asked them for input. Not their business. You didn't ask them for anything other than their input. And smart, successful professionals, they love being asked for their opinion, don't they? So by the time you get to week 3, 6 deposits, 0 asks, which means week 4, it just hits different. So week 4, now you pick up the phone. But when the phone rings and they see your name, they recognize your name. They've seen your emails. They've seen your DMs. They've watched your training. You've made a bunch of deposits. And rather than getting their voicemail, they answer. And the conversation is different. It's just completely different because it's no longer a cold call. The relationship now already exists. So now it's like, hey, John, it's Todd. I know we've been connecting. You probably see me in your email, in your feed, in your inbox. Man, I'd love to grab a cup of coffee, get to know you a little bit better. I mean, whatever your script and dialogue is for booking the appointment that you've been using and failing at before, it's the same script, but you've made the deposits and they now have trust in you. That's the entire ask. The conversion rate compared to a cold call, it's 5 times higher. And we always say math is the path, right? 5 times higher conversion. If they say no, it's no big deal. Look, you just go back to the nurture, right? Because top agents move when they're ready to move. And your job is to make sure that you're the broker that they're thinking of when they are ready to move. That's engage. So you got 4 weeks, 6 deposits, 0 asks until the last one. If you do nothing else from this entire video, run that sequence. Just run it to your hit list. I promise you, the calls will be completely and totally different. The outcomes, completely and totally different. That's the 4-week engagement sequence, 6 deposits, 0 asks until the last one. And if you run nothing else from this video, run that one. Now, in part 2, I'm gonna show you exactly what happens when they say yes to that meeting, the 2 appointment structures, the Sales Warrior 9, the 1 to 10 close that all of my managing directors use to close top agents on that second appointment. Links there, don't skip it.